In a lively town, there was an elementary school known for its vibrant teachers and engaged students. The most enthusiastic of them all was Mr. Johnson, a fourth-grade teacher who was passionate about making learning fun and exciting. His classroom was a colorful wonderland filled with educational posters, fun facts, and student artwork. Mr. Johnson had a unique teaching style that included dramatic storytelling, interactive activities, and a never-ending supply of jokes. His students adored him, and they couldn't wait to see what each day would bring. One Monday morning, Mr. Johnson bounded into the classroom with his usual energy. "Good morning, class. Are you ready for an adventure in learning today?" The students cheered. "Yes, Mr. Johnson." "Great. Today we're diving into the wonderful world of math. But first, let's start with a joke. Why was the math book sad?" The students looked at each other, puzzled. "Why?" they asked in unison. "Because it had too many problems," Mr. Johnson exclaimed, laughing heartily. The students giggled, their excitement growing. Mr. Johnson launched into a lively lesson about fractions, using pizza slices to make the concept more relatable. He even brought in a real pizza, much to the delight of his students. As they worked through the fractions, Mr. Johnson kept the mood light with more jokes and anecdotes. "All right, class. Here's another one. Why don't we ever tell secrets on a farm?" he asked. "Why?" the students asked, eagerly awaiting the punchline. "Because the potatoes have eyes and the corn has ears," Mr. Johnson said with a grin. The classroom erupted in laughter. As the lesson continued, Mr. Johnson's enthusiasm was contagious. Even the students who usually struggled with math found themselves enjoying the process. Mr. Johnson had a way of making every student feel special and capable. During recess, Mr. Johnson stayed in the classroom, preparing for the next lesson. His colleague, Ms. Smith, popped her head in. "How's it going, Johnson?" "Fantastic as always," he replied. "We're having a blast with fractions today. You should have seen their faces when I brought out the pizza." Ms. Smith chuckled. "You and your props. How do you keep up the energy?" Mr. Johnson winked. "Lots of coffee and a genuine love for teaching. Plus, these kids make it easy. They're amazing." The afternoon lesson was about history, and Mr. Johnson decided to turn it into a time travel adventure. He donned a makeshift cape and a cardboard hat, pretending to be a time-traveling historian. The students were thrilled as they traveled back to ancient Egypt, learning about pharaohs, pyramids, and hieroglyphics. "Class, if we were really in ancient Egypt, what do you think would be the hardest thing to do?" Mr. Johnson asked. "Building pyramids," one student suggested. "Writing in hieroglyphics?" another offered. Mr. Johnson grinned. "Nope, it would be finding a good pizza place. They hadn't invented it yet." The room filled with laughter once more. As the day came to a close, Mr. Johnson gathered his students for one final joke. "Why did the scarecrow become a teacher?" "Why?" the students asked, eagerly leaning forward. "Because he was outstanding in his field," Mr. Johnson said, throwing his arms wide in a dramatic gesture. The students laughed and applauded, the perfect end to a fun-filled day of learning. "Remember, class," Mr. Johnson said as the students packed up their things, "learning is an adventure. Keep your minds open and your hearts happy, and you'll always find joy in knowledge." The students left the classroom with smiles on their faces, already looking forward to the next day's adventures. And Mr. Johnson, the enthusiastic teacher, couldn't wait to see what new wonders he could bring to his eager learners.